Yo, what's up? Here's my full spoiler-filled review of episode 7 of Game of Thrones House of the Dragons. Now, this episode is called Driftmark, and it's basically about all of the families coming together to pay respects at Lyanna's funeral, Damien's wife, and just how all the craziness pops off with this funeral happening. Now, I would have to say that so far, this has probably been my favorite episode of Game of Thrones. Everything broke down in such a great way, and just how all the infighting, just all the craziness going on. You have to start with the funeral where, Damien is getting together with the family. He's laughing at part of the funeral, especially when they're going through the memorial parts of it. They put her body in the ocean. That was interesting, that the way that they dealt with the dead bodies was throw them into the sea, and the way that the Targaryens deal with them is by burning them. So that was really interesting to see that part of this episode. I think that another thing that was interesting here was that there's actually some type of connection between Damon's and Rhaenyra's kids, and how she's telling them to go, check on her, check on your cousins, and kind of get together and deal with it in their own little way, and just kind of I don't would say protect, but more along the lines of kind of console the cousins and everything. And that was really interesting at that point. You did also had the king, not king, but the Lord of Velaryon talking to one of the boys about how, it's going to be his job to become the kind of Lord of their castle one day and stuff, and him not wanting it. Kind of familiar visuals to something that happened in the Game of Thrones series itself, and how one of the kids didn't really want to become, that type of, royalty in his own self. So that was really interesting. But the main meat and bones of this story really comes when the family just aren't getting along together. You get one episode, you get one piece where Lyanna's brother is sitting in the sea and crying, and they're telling them to go find him. The main Lord Velaryon is having issues because he knows that he's not really he's more like the king in the fact that he doesn't really want to believe that his grandkids aren't really his grandkids, and maybe they should have said something about his son at the whole gayness. Does blood matter, and does name matter? The grandmother is pissed off because she's not kind of getting her way in a certain sort of way. She just wants the whole think about her having a crown to be gone. And I really enjoyed their conversation sitting in front of the fire with each other. Not only was it really nice visually, but just a really good conversation altogether. Then you also have Rhaena and Daemon after the funeral kind of getting together and just having a big conversation on, her missing him and all the stuff going on between them two, and just her wanting him to kind of get back together with her. And they end up doing a thing with each other, and that bounces off in there. The other thing that happened this episode was Lyanna's dragon was stolen by one of the Targaryen kids, and that led off into something else where he's having trouble getting the dragon going, and actually gets it, and the dragon bonds with him. And the only issue I have with that scene, especially the scene with Rhaenyra and Daemon, was that it was just visually way too dark. I wish they would have found a better way to light the scene. Just as somebody who does visual effects and stuff like that, and understands sets, a way to set up sets, and way to set scenes up, there's just different ways that you can light that scene and still get the effect that you're looking for. I understand the artistry behind the way they lit the scene, but I just feel that there's just a better way there to do it, and especially one where the scene just doesn't feel too dark, and it just can be done better. But with that being said, I still enjoyed the scene for the most part, especially with how they were doing it with the dragon. I know that visually that sometimes you can get away with some, the way the dragon is looking if it's in a really dark scene. So that's, maybe one reason why they did it that way. But I enjoyed the scene. Probably some of the best effects they've done with a dragon so far. So I enjoyed all of that. The big thing is the kids going at each other because of the dragon being stolen. The two daughters pissed off that the Targaryen boy took the dragon. The Rhaenyra's two sons going to help them out, and basically get into a big ass fight with each other. I laughed my ass off when the little girl just punches the boy. She punches him back, and they actually start getting into the fight. The Targaryen boy is way better skilled than they are, so he's winning, but they outnumber him a little bit, and that's really interesting and just funny altogether until a knife gets pulled out. He has a rock, one of the boys has a knife, he's kind of getting at him and ends up getting cut in the face and smacking the boy in the face with the rock. So I just love that scene altogether, especially leading up to this big argument where Brianna and Allison kind of goes at each other, and everybody starts to let the beans spill that, yo, this isn't their kids. This isn't Rhaenyra's full kids. They're her out of her body kids, but I don't know how you say it. I just they're not part Velaryon, basically what I'm saying. So yeah, that all came to a front, and I just love the kind of argument that was going on there, especially when a knife comes out and Allison goes to stab Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra kind of accepts the stabbing in a certain way, and just kind of accepts the pain, and just knows that it's going to lead to something else, and just piss Allison off even more. So that was really really interesting to see, especially with the old hands being back. Just this whole episode, right? Everything broke down. I just enjoyed so damn much. Like I said, there's only really one scene that I had an issue with, and that was just the visual darkness of the scene. I just wish that was done a little bit better, and this has probably been a perfect episode for me. I most definitely got to go a 4.5 out of 5 stars, man. Game of Thrones really doesn't get much better than this, and I just love how they used everything and done all this stuff, man. So this was one of the episodes that kind of brought me back to the way the original Game of Thrones was, and I enjoyed it so damn much. But that's my review. Can't wait to see the next episode. I'm out. Peace.